Welcome back to Audioman Dark Stories, where we explore the darkest corners of true crime. What could drive nearly 50 women to commit over 300 murders? Was it desperation, liberation, or something far darker? And how did the ringleader's sinister trade in inheritance powders unravel an entire village? Stay with us as we uncover the chilling story of the Angel Makers of Nagyarev, a tale of arsenic, deception, and a murder spree like no other. In the quiet Hungarian village of Nagyrev, nestled along the river Tisza, a dark and chilling secret brewed for over a decade. By day, it seemed like any other rural community, but by night, whispers of arsenic, betrayal, and murder filled the air. Husbands, children, and even parents mysteriously vanished, and their killers, the very women who sat beside them at dinner tables and tucked them in at night. This was no ordinary crime spree. This was a pact of poison, led by the enigmatic midwife, Julia Fazekas. Julia Fazekas arrived in the Hungarian village of Nagyrev in 1911, a mysterious figure pushing middle age. Claiming to be a widow, little was known about her past, including the fate of her husband. Despite the ambiguity surrounding her background, she quickly established herself as the village midwife. Between 1911 and 1921, Fazekas was arrested 10 times for performing illegal abortions. Yet each time, sympathetic judges acquitted her. While her legal troubles with abortion drew the attention of authorities, they failed to notice her involvement in a far more sinister operation, one that would ultimately make Nagyrev infamous. The origins of this macabre story can be traced to World War I. As able-bodied men from Nagyrev were conscripted into the Austro-Hungarian military, the village became a site for Allied prisoners of war to be housed. These prisoners, who were granted unusual freedom within the village, became a source of romantic escapism for the women left behind by their husbands. A strange culture of infidelity flourished, with many wives boasting about their foreign lovers, sometimes entertaining multiple partners. This atmosphere of newfound liberation led to discontent when husbands returned home from war. Dissatisfied with their marriages and emboldened by their wartime experiences, many women sought an escape from the bonds of matrimony. Julia Fazekas became their answer. Fazekas introduced a chilling solution to these women: arsenic poisoning. She obtained arsenic by boiling flypaper and skimming the lethal residue. The first known victim was Peter Hegedus in 1914, but over the years the trend caught on and it soon became a fad in Nagyarev. Husbands, parents, children, and even neighbors became targets. By the mid-1920s, the village had earned the grim nickname, the Murder District. During this time, it is estimated that around 50 women used arsenic to trim their family trees. Fazekas, as the village midwife, had access to many households, and her cousin, who worked as the clerk filing death certificates, aided in covering up these murders by ensuring no investigations were launched. Over 15 years, the estimated death toll reached an astonishing 300 victims. The murderous conspiracy unraveled in July 1929, beginning with an accusation from a local choir master in a neighboring village. The man claimed that Mrs. Ladislaus Szabo had poisoned him with wine, though he survived thanks to a stomach pump. While detectives investigated this incident, another victim stepped forward, also accusing Szabo of poisoning. In custody, seeking leniency, Szabo implicated her friend, Mrs. Bukonovsky, as a fellow murderer. Bukonovsky in turn named Julia Fazekas as the source of the poison. Fazekas was taken in for questioning but denied all accusations. Without solid evidence, police were forced to release her. However, they launched a widespread investigation, trailing Fazekas as she moved around the village, warning her clients. One by one, the women were arrested. Eventually, police raided Fazekas's home, where they found her dead, apparently having consumed her own arsenic. Surrounding her body were pots of flypaper soaking in water, confirming her role as the ringleader of the poisonings. In total, 38 women were jailed on suspicion of murder. 26 suspects were tried in Szolnok, where the proceedings revealed a chilling portrait of the crimes committed by the so-called Angel Makers of Nagyarev. 8 women were sentenced to death, 7 received life imprisonment, and the rest faced lesser sentences. The condemned included some of the most infamous members of the conspiracy. Susanna Ola, a self-proclaimed witch, boasted of training venomous snakes to attack her victims and competed with Fazekas in selling inheritance powders. Lydia Ola, Susanna's sister, was convicted despite her flat denials of guilt. Maria Cardos murdered her husband, a lover, and her sickly 23-year-old son, whom she persuaded to sing her a song on his deathbed. Rosalie Sebastian and Rose Hoiba were convicted of poisoning their boring husbands. Lydia Seri killed her parents with arsenic. Maria Varga confessed to poisoning her blind war hero husband after he complained about her bringing lovers into their home. Julian Lipka was responsible for 7 deaths, including her stepmother, an aunt, a brother, a sister-in-law, and her husband, whom she killed on Christmas Eve. Maria Sendi became a symbol of the women's liberation movement, claiming in court that she murdered her husband because he always had his way. It's terrible the way men have all the power. The Angel Makers of Nagyarev left behind a legacy of betrayal and death, exposing a dark chapter in the history of the small Hungarian village. What began as acts of desperation escalated into one of the most chilling murder conspiracies in European history. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We appreciate your support.